At the Belgian GP, we've seen yet another disappointing appearance from both McLaren cars. Both of the cars were stuck behind the train that was led by Alex Albon, the last driver that took points in Spa. What's even more depressing for them is the fact that Norris had a brand new engine mounted on his car, and yet he wasn't able to capitalize on this opportunity. Although Ricciardo started as P7, he fell down the grid and finished P15. Apart from Bahrain and Montreal, this is one of the most challenging weekends that Norris had to endure. As for Ricciardo, it's quite normal for him to be down there on the grid, but we aren't used to seeing Norris not being able to finish in the points. After the race, he made a statement regarding the performance of the MCL36 and where they lack the most pace. If you want to find out, stick around with us until the end of this video. First of all, it's worth mentioning that McLaren has regressed in their form, which is why the performance in Spa shouldn't surprise us that much. Yes, it's quite unusual seeing the fifth team in the Constructors' Championship not being able to score points, while Vettel finished P8 and Albon P10 in the worst teams on the grid. However, McLaren is struggling a lot this season, and that has been said by their technical director James Key, as well as Norris, who said that he needed to adapt a lot to this version of the car. It's been a rollercoaster ride we didn't expect, and obviously we're not enjoying it when we hit the more difficult circuits. I think, to be honest, there's actually been a range of things here, so certainly the car has been stronger at some events than others. Stronger Monaco, Australia, Imola, weak at others. We had a very difficult Canada. I'm dismissing the first race because there are other problems associated with that. Some of it's a learning process, but I suppose the versatility in terms of consistency really isn't quite there, said James Key during the summer break. Many of the F1 experts were quick to judge Ricciardo and his drop in performance in 2022. True, he did have a bad time in 2021 too, but he was able to score a win in Monza and Norris followed him for P2. Now, it's a good thing if he finishes in the points, as he has only 19 points with 8 races remaining. Yet, according to Norris, he does understand why Ricciardo struggles, since the car is very different from what they're used to in 2021, and even he himself had to adapt to some aspects of it, and when he was asked about the car being made around him, he answered, "I don't think you can probably in any way say the car is made around me. From what I want from the car, it's like the opposite of what it's giving me at the minute. And yeah, I would say the car I have now is completely not what I want for my driving style, and very unsuited for me. It's not a bad thing, it's just that's what it is, and you have to adapt to it. That's why I feel like I've done a reasonable job this year, adapting to something that is not quite what I want or like. That's one of the improvements I've made over the last few years," finished Norris. Norris also spoke about his saying in McLaren's development of the car, saying that he is the side that has more voice when it comes to this matter compared to Daniel. Definitely, I'm having a bit more of a voice. I don't like talking too much because everyone has their own jobs and everyone is a professional in their own jobs. Sounding my opinion and talking about it a little bit, whether I lose every opinion I have, I don't care. Just speaking up a little bit more and being confident in that stuff is always a good thing, finished Norris. Remember, these were all prior to the Belgian GP, and after the bad performance that the team had in Spa, Norris spoke yet again as to why he believes that the MCL36 performed the way it did and why they didn't score a single point. On top of that, their main rival Alpine was able to gather 16 points from the weekend, even with Ocon starting at the back of the grid alongside Norris. Now, the lead is extended to 21 points to McLaren, and although the season is far away from over, when it comes to the fight for P4 in the Constructors' Championship, McLaren has surely distanced themselves from this goal with their recent performance. I think we were probably one of the quicker ones on the straights. Where we lose a lot is in DRS. For some reason, in DRS, we're pretty shocked. Some cars are a lot better than others, like in a pure straight line condition. I think yesterday we were quicker than Red Bull. But then the Red Bull opens DRS and gains somehow like another 15 kilometers per hour, and it's in a completely different league to a lot of people. So there's something we're maybe missing with DRS, so that makes our overtaking opportunities less than other people. But straight line, we were probably one of the quickest this weekend. Final sector, probably one of the quickest at times yesterday. But just slow sleep, medium speed, high speed, nothing was a strength this weekend. We're just a bit down in every area, finished Norris. Earlier this season, Norris spoke about the MCL36 currently overperforming when it comes to pure performance, as he believes that the car has regressed a lot compared to the 2021 season. Nevertheless, the poor performance of the car didn't come as a surprise for Norris in Spa, and if we're being honest, we are seeing a much more disappointed and less motivated Norris in the last couple of races compared to the first several races. I think it's exactly as I expected. I think we knew the racing was going to be a lot worse here this year than it was in previous years, just because the split stream is so much worse. But yeah, apart from that, just getting stuck behind the Aston of Lance Stroll and the Williams. I think the Aston's pace was clearly better than us today. But the Williams is just so quick in the straight, and I'm in the DRS train, and I just couldn't do a lot. I reckon we were just where we deserve to be. I think the gaps between all cars looked bigger this weekend than normal. A longer track, lots of it all about efficiency here, running as low downforce as possible, but still having a car that performs very well in all the high speed and low speed corners. And that's clearly what we don't have, finished Norris. But he isn't the only one that believes that the gaps between the teams are much bigger than everybody expected them to be, and that they won't last in the next few races. Remember when Binotto was asked about Ferrari's deficit to Red Bull? He said that he doesn't expect them to have as big of a gap as in Spa. Even according to Verstappen, the gaps will diminish in the Dutch GP, as he said that he doesn't expect to have as dominant performance as he had here in Spa. It's evident that Spa is a circuit that amplifies the gaps mostly due to its nature of high downforce straight, and then entering into the second sector where the corners are requiring a low downforce setup, so the team have to balance their car to the optimum in order to achieve good results. High downforce so hopefully moves us a little bit more back in line with Budapest's kind of pace, I hope. But you never know, it was our worst track last season, so I'm hoping this year it's not the case. Because some of the problems that we had in previous years are maybe not so evident this year, and we've got other problems. So we'll see. It can't be a lot worse, I hope, than this weekend, said Norris when he was asked about the expectations that the McLaren team should have during the Dutch GP. It seems like we're in it for another interesting race in the middle of the triple header. After the Dutch GP, the caravan is headed to Monza, the race in which McLaren scored their first 1-2 finish after a long time and their first win after a whole decade. It's ironic enough that the team is sacking the race winner from that season, just to replace him with a 21-year-old youngster that is yet to prove himself in the sport. What do you think is next for McLaren? Let us know in the comments below.